Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Josh, and although I have not wanted to make a video about this, I figure I might as well get my 2 cents in. So let's talk chickens and eggs. Now lately there's been a lot of videos on YouTube about chickens, in particular their feed and also the eggs. Now I don't want to get into all the nuts and bolts about that because there's plenty of other videos out there that have explained like the feed issues and all those things much better than I could, so go ahead and check them out. Let's just talk about what we got going on. So with all the videos about feed that's going around, in particular they're suggesting that commercial feed is being engineered to have your chickens stop laying eggs. And I don't know about that, but maybe it's so. But we don't use that. Like here we have some whole wheat. We kind of mixed our own stuff up here. And over here we got some crushed barley with some alfalfa in it. Now that makes some pretty good stuff. So we mix that with the wheat and it works pretty good. Now sometimes we also get that black oil sunflower seeds to mix in with that. And that seems to add something that they really enjoy. Now let me show you our real secret weapon when it comes to feeding the chickens. So we like to let our chickens free range a good portion of the day. And they get out and look for all kinds of food, especially near the corral. And I'm telling you guys, there's lots of good food around the corral for a chicken. Now we happen to have some hay for our cows that has a lot of seeds and grains in it. And these chickens spend a lot of time out here sifting through what's left on the ground. And the bonus part about that is our cows will eat this grain. It'll come out in their poop. The chickens will go out there. They get fermented grains, which is just awesome for chickens. Now during the summer when they're free ranging, of course there's lots of bugs and insects around the property that gets them all kinds of good protein. Now during the wintertime, we like to supplement with some mealworms and or some soldier fly larvae. Works great in small amounts because it's expensive. Now we do a couple things with our chicken feed that to some may seem controversial. Try not to feed our chickens corn or soy, and there's a couple reasons for that. So like the first reason that we don't use corn or soy is, like personally, I have trouble with corn and soy myself, so therefore I don't want it being fed to my animals. And the reason for that is, of course, the old saying, you are what you eat, and I believe that the proteins from the corn and the soy make it into the eggs, and therefore I have had a history of problems with chicken eggs, and ever since I switched, those issues disappeared, and I've been able to eat chicken eggs ever since. And so I'm a firm believer that if you have an issue with some food, do not feed it to your chickens, as it may affect the eggs. And the second reason being, I believe that corn in particular actually has an effect on the birds that makes them hyper. It's actually the same I feel about cows as well. I believe that corn, and people call me crazy, but it actually kind of hypes up the animal. They get a lot more energy, as they say, but it makes them a little bit wild and aggressive, and I just call them crazy. Now, birds are birds, of course, and they do what they want. However, I just believe that what I do with the feed makes a much more docile bird, a much more agreeable bird, and we have a lot less fights, for instance. So that being said, and now that I mentioned the eggs, let's get on the egg topic briefly. So there's a lot of talk going on about the eggs right now, in particular the cost of eggs. And as you can see, our egg boxes are empty. And the reason for that being, as you can see guys, we do not have any light in here. We don't have any heat. It's just natural vented. And with those natural conditions, these chickens slow down considerably in the winter. And that's what they're supposed to do, guys. So we don't use any heat sources for our chickens. And I would recommend that to everyone, really, for 2 reasons. So reason number 1, guys, and probably the most important, is safety. These things burn down quick, guys. You'll lose your whole flock. You don't want that to happen just to gain a few dozen eggs. And the second reason being, they are not machines. They need a break. Their bodies need to rejuvenate. Now, sure, we could put lights in here. We could put a heat source in here. And these chickens will continue to lay eggs at a remarkable rate if we want them to in the winter. However, if we do that, I believe that we are shortening their life. We are actually cutting their production down over their lifespan. And I just prefer to let them be chickens and produce their eggs naturally. So now let's go ahead and talk about the cost of eggs right now. So if I went down to the grocery store right now to get what I would call a better quality egg down at our store, we're looking at $8, $9 a dozen. And although that seems outrageous, it's just the way it is now. So now a lot of people are complaining that farms and small homesteads are charging a similar rate for their eggs, which is just ludicrous to me, you guys. You cannot complain that we're going to charge $8 or $9 a dozen for our eggs, which are just as good, and honestly, they're better than the eggs at the store. Now, we have some people around here that are still selling eggs, believe it or not, for $3 a dozen, which I find crazy. So when someone comes up to us and says, so-and-so down the road is selling them for $3 a dozen, why are you selling them for $8 or $9 a dozen? So it just boils down to the fact, guys, that we can't afford to sell our eggs for any less than that because of what feed costs. So that being said, guys, support your local farmers, your local homesteaders, buy eggs from them, and, pay a fair market price for them because they've spent a lot of time and, quite frankly, a lot of money on food for these chickens to produce those eggs. Now, I could just go on and on about chickens and eggs, just like everybody else. It's a hot topic right now. There's a lot going on and a lot of controversy. So that being said, enough said. I can't believe I made another chicken video. So anyways, like, subscribe. We'll catch you later, guys. Have a good one.